Should the Padres trade Chris Paddack? We'll get to that in a moment. This is the wrap-up show with John Schaefer and Jim Russell, presented by Mark Nimitz at Farmers Insurance. If you are a Padres fan, you've come to the right place. Please hit the subscribe button. You'll get year-round exclusive Padres content that no one else is offering on YouTube. Also, make sure to smash the like button and follow us on Twitter at John Schaefer, at Jim Russell SD. Should the Padres trade Chris Paddack? First, let's tell you about our title sponsor, Mark Nimitz. He makes this super simple if you have any insurance needs. I just switched over my homeowners and my earthquake insurance policy into to work with Mark Nimitz over at Farmers Insurance. He made the process so simple. It literally took 24 or 48 hours. He can help you save $440 on your insurance needs this year. $440. Auto, home, renters, life. He's a San Diegan. He loves the Padres. He'd love to talk to you about your insurance needs. He'd love to talk to you about the Padres. So if you have any insurance needs, if you want to save money, if you're in San Diego, there's a link down below for Mark Nimitz at Farmers Insurance.
All his information above my head. Phone number and email address, mnimitz@farmersagent.com. That's mnimitz@farmersagent.com. Of course, when you reach out to him, let him know that John and Jim from the wrap-up show sent you.
We want to hear from you. You can chat and comment down below. Should the Padres trade Chris Paddack? This is an interesting conversation because if you recall, Jim, at the end of the period of time before the lockout, maybe late November, right before the lockout, it appeared as if the Padres had a deal with a starter in Nick Martinez from Japan, who the Padres apparently had signed to a 4-year deal. That would likely move Chris Paddack out of the rotation because you have Darvish, Snell, Musgrove, Clevenger, and then Nick Martinez. So let's throw out that question. What do you think, Jim? Should the Padres consider trading Chris Paddack? What would be the advantages and what would be the disadvantages of considering that?
I would have said yes last year. Now I'm going to say no, not because I think Chris Paddack can help the team, but we saw what happened last year with injuries, and this team needs as much pitching as possible. That's the only reason why I'm keeping Chris Paddack around. As hard as I've been on Eric Hosmer, I think I've been harder on Chris Paddack. From the sheer fact is, I don't think that Chris Paddack mentally can be good enough in this league right now at this very moment. Maybe he's turned it around. Maybe he's figured out how to control his emotions on the mound and not implode if he gives up 2 or 3 runs in an inning. I don't know, but that's his main problem. His main problem is he lets things bother him way too much on the mound, and it festers. And if something happens in the first inning, he's still thinking about in the 4th inning. And it's like, sometimes just go out there and pitch, bro. You know, we saw what you did in 2019, and then 2020 was a disaster. 2021 was even worse. I was on the train of just get him out of town. He's a lost cause. But to your point, he's under control for a couple more years.
Mm-hmm.
And as I was saying, this team just needs as much pitching as possible. And if Chris Paddack is there to be like an emergency 5th starter, then that's a good option. But other than that, I don't have much faith in Chris Paddack to do anything of significance in 2022.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't move him. To your point, you're 100% right. I mean, 2020 was a lost year. He was worse in 2021. 2019 was a very good year, but if you look back on it, it was a good first half. It was a good, 13 starts. It was a bad 13 starts. His numbers were much better in 2019 than 20 or 21. But from an insurance policy perspective, why would you move him? I mean, he's owed $2 million, likely owed $2 million this year. He's controllable for 3 years. I agree that he could probably use a change of scenery, but what are you getting for Chris Paddack? Why would you sell him now off a year in which he had a 5.07 ERA and didn't finish the season because of injury? At the very least, I'd hold on to him until July. Let's see if he can make something of the first 3 or 4 months of the season. If so, maybe he's got more value, and maybe you find out in July you really don't need him because he's more like a 7th or 8th starter as opposed to a 5th or a 6th. But I just don't see the motivation. Now, if the motivation is, you can get, you can get a mid-level prospect for him, or you can get a starting outfielder for him, or you can get a DH candidate for him. But what caliber of player are we talking about? Chris Paddack in his career is a 1.9 WAR player. in his career in 3 seasons. He had a negative .8 WAR in 2021. So because he doesn't have value, I don't think you can get a lot for him. So I would just keep him in my back pocket under the assumption that maybe he can turn it around at some point.
No, I'm with you. It's the adage, well, let's just try one more time. And you have Ruben Niebla. You're thinking that, he's your pitching whisperer, so to say. Let's get him with Ruben, see what he can do. And if this doesn't work this time, then it's 100% lost cause. It's a gots to go situation. Trade him for a bag of chips, whatever. Just get him out. Like, there's no point in keeping him here if with a new pitching coach, it doesn't work. I mean, really, there's no other way around it. I think that what he brings to the table and the baggage that he brings with his family, it's not worth the trouble to keep you here. It's not. But again, with all that being said, it's like, well, it'd be nice to have at least some type of like insurance. And with the way that this team pitching staff was last year, with all the injuries, and then having to go out and sign guys like Vince Velasquez and Jake Arrieta, I much rather have Chris Paddack in your back pocket, like your other back pocket, not like your, guy that's going to make 30 plus starts, but a guy that, hey, if he makes 10 to 15 next year, I'd be okay with it. I wouldn't be happy, because I don't trust him enough to go out there and give you 10 to 15 quality starts, but you need as much pitching as possible. With how things went last year, you can't trade away pitching. You just can't. You have to add here.
We'll get back to the video in a moment, but let's welcome our newest sponsor, Aura, to the wrap-up show, a natural supplement and plant-based nutrition company that's got just great products, whether it's a probiotic, which I've been taking, if it's fish oils, whether it's proteins. Let me tell you why I'm taking this probiotic from Aura. First of all, it's plant-based. Secondly, this is a product that can literally boost your immune system and help with your heart health. So that's why I take probiotics. There's so many reasons to take them. If you are new to the wrap-up show, your first order, you're going to get 30% off by clicking the link down below and using promo code WRAPUP. Their co-founder, Will, is a huge Padres fan. He's also a San Diegan. So again, if you're looking for plant-based nutrition products that can literally change your life, there's a link down below. Use promo code WRAPUP, get 30% off your first order.
Yeah, I'm taking this raspberry lemonade flavor pre-workout. It's delicious, jitter-free, will not give you a crash after your workout is over. 30% off your first order using promo code WRAPUP, www.aura.organic. They don't just have, pre-workouts or protein powders or probiotics. They literally have everything you want to live a healthy lifestyle. So go to their website right now, use our promo code WRAPUP to get your 30% off first order. You'll thank us later. Now back to the video.
Right. And you can't trust. I mean, listen, I've been very high on Mike Clevenger, but you don't know. We have no idea
Right.
what it's going to look like in 2022 with Clevenger. We can hope for the health of Joe Musgrove and Blake Snell and Yu Darvish, but we know that this, 162 games, if they played, is a lot of games. You need 6th and 7th starters. The 2021 Padres are the perfect example of that. And if you're AJ Preller, you can't. I mean, because AJ Preller should be really burned on what happened in 2021. If anything, he should have too much starting pitching heading into 2022 as opposed to the opposite. Now, adding Nick Martinez and Mike Clevenger and Adrian Morejon at some point, and having Chris Paddack and maybe the possibility of Dinelson Lamet and maybe the possibility of Mackenzie Gore and maybe a Reese Kinnear. I'm throwing names out there. I mean, this sounds good in theory, but I wouldn't want to take away from it. I don't think it's good enough to take away from at this point. If anything, and we've argued this before, if anything, I'd probably want to add another pitcher beyond Nick Martinez heading into camp whenever camp begins, right?
Well, whose article was it? Was it Jim Bowden that wrote that? I forget who wrote it, but their premise was the Padres have so much pitching that they can just like take away and like trade some depth. Like,
it was MLB Trade Rumors,
okay,
that wrote it,
and we completely debunked that in like 2 seconds with the amount of question marks they have on this pitching rotation. I'm with you, man. Do not at any point during this, whenever we get back here, trade away pitching. Only add, unless you're trading away pitching for more pitching, better pitching, so to say. Like, then you do that. But if you're not going to do that, don't just trade away pitching to try to get other assets in your organization. That's just don't do it. Please add more pitching. That's what you need to do. And Chris Paddack is a guy who I don't think you can. If you thought about trading him, I don't think he's a guy you can trade just him alone. He will need to be attached to other prospects to get at least some type of value out of him. He's not worthy of trading straight up for straight up. It's just not it. So if you trade Paddack because you think you have enough pitching, well, I'm gonna let you know that you probably should get more pitching if you think that.
Let's throw out a hypothetical with Chris Paddack. Like, does Paddack create value for some of your larger deals that you have under contract? Like, let's say you're Kansas City, and we've talked about the idea of trading Eric Hosmer to Kansas City, eating some of that money, attaching a prospect or two, and maybe that makes sense for both sides. If you're Kansas City, would you take on a player like Chris Paddack, young, controllable, 3 years still before he reaches free agency? You take on Hosmer and Paddack. The Padres eat half or more of Hosmer's salary. Maybe you attach another mid-tier prospect. Like, would that be advantageous? You're getting rid of Paddack, a big league starter, to get rid of part of Eric Hosmer's salary to return him to Kansas City. If you're the Royals, would you have any interest in taking on Paddack if it meant also attaching Eric Hosmer to that?
I mean, sure.
Or if you're the Padres, would you have interest in doing that?
I think they'd have interest in doing that just because it gets rid of kind of two problems with your organization and with one, like, kill two birds with one stone type of thing.
Right.
So, yeah, I think they'd be interested in it. But what do you like?
Yeah. I mean, from the Padres' perspective, you would do it. But we've talked about, like, hey, you'd rather have more pitching than less. The scenario for me to get rid of pitching would be if it means getting rid of Eric Hosmer. Then figure it out on the other side. If you can move Chris Paddack, and you know what? Maybe he's good in Kansas City. Maybe the change of scenery helps. That's fine. Maybe in 3 seasons in Kansas City, he wins 40 games combined in those 3 seasons. And
what the hell happened, man?
I mean, that's fine. I mean, but if it allows you to shed yourself the $20 million a year of Eric Hosmer and upgrade at first base and upgrade at DH and make an investment in your outfield, you know what I mean? Like, you could get multiple bites at the apple if you could move that Hosmer deal. Now, I think it's going to take more than Chris Paddack to move Eric Hosmer, if I'm being honest, but I don't want to be the guy. I'd rather move Chris Paddack with Eric Hosmer because I know who Paddack is than attach one of these top 4, 5, 6 prospects right now.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I mean, what value does he have? Like, this is it's like the no value trade. You're just trading away a guy that just is a mental case on the mound, has 2 pitches. His fastball is straight as an arrow. And another guy who can't produce offensively, and he's getting paid $20+ million a year.
Welcome to Kansas City.
Yeah, welcome to Kansas City, guys. Fan base
welcome
will love
back.
You.
Yeah, Hosmer. I mean, if there's one place that kind of makes sense, at least Eric Hosmer's had success in his career in Kansas City. All right, here's the question for the chat: would you trade Chris Paddack? Should the Padres consider trading Chris Paddack, or do you fear deja vu all over again, where Vince Velasquez and Jake Arrieta are starting games for the Padres? That's a worst case scenario at the end of 2022. Also, this reminder, if you are new to our channel, we have exclusive year-round Padres content. Please hit the subscribe button if that's what you're looking for. We're offering something that really is not offered anywhere else on YouTube. Also, hit that notification bell. You'll be notified when we have new videos. Smash the like button, and also follow us on Twitter at John Schaefer, at Jim Russell SD. Please support our sponsors, Mark Nimitz at Farmers Insurance, also Aura. Get 30% off your first order. There is a link down below at aura.organic. If you're purchasing Padres tickets in 2022, once this lockout ends, do so through us. We have a link for StubHub featuring a 100% fan protect guarantee. Please purchase through us with the link down below. Until next time, this has been the Wrap-Up Show with John and Jim, presented by Mark Nimitz at Farmers Insurance.